The most common mistake I think that producers or new producers make is generally trying to sound like someone else.
Yeah.
I think it's I did the same thing. I think you were inspired by someone, you were inspired by some music, and so you try and replicate that and do something the same. And then I think it takes years to actually make that individual. I don't think it's a mistake really. I think it's a part of the learning process. So you can, which takes years. You can do something and you think that it's the right thing to do, and you walk out the studio, this is the best thing I've ever done, or blah blah blah. And then it's only a matter of time when you start to listen back and you learn and you start to get your own individuality and things, and then that's all part of the learning process, really. I think the best attitude to have is to have your own individuality from the outset. Really know what you want to do, what you have in your own head. Know how you want your music to sound, and your own character. It's all part of you, and as much as you can put on that from the outset, then you're heading in the right direction. I think completion of music is such a infinite process, really. I think if you, things that I've finished, I've never finished. It's one of those things. It's that whole process of learning and making things sound better and pushing yourself and trying to get something. The point where if you know that you've got a brilliant idea and you know that you've completed that idea and you know that you've done the thing that you set out to do, and you walk out the studio and you go, this is it, I've done it, this is finished for me in my head, then that's it's a really great thing to achieve. If you are banging your head against a wall on something that's taken you years and years to do, or weeks and weeks or whatever, and you can hear something in it still, then it's worth just carrying on. If you're just doing it for the sake of just feeling that you should just have something finished, then it's just start something new. I think when you're trying to do something musically, that's especially if you're starting out on music and you've got some really great ideas and you're trying to complete those ideas, I think again, if there's something in it, if there's something that you can walk away from the studio and still have it in your head, then it's worth pursuing to the point where you get it right, and I think that's the main thing. I think you genuinely know if you've got something that's worth pursuing. I think it's always there with you, your gut feeling. If it's something that you just doesn't stay with you, there's no resonance from it whatsoever, then it's not. You just move on. My fantasy plugin. My fantasy plugin would be finishing plugin. Something that just made you just go, all right, it's done now. Yeah, that'd be great. That would be the ultimate. You just plug it in, finalizer. There you go. The process I work through with making music is generally if I have a concept or an idea. So it'll be, I have a song in my head, whether it's a lyrical song or it's a piece of music or it's an idea or a concept or it's using a piece of equipment. It will, that'll be the point where I go, okay, this is what I want to do now. This is how I want to make my song or my track. Or it has to have a jumping off point. I don't think I can just go in and randomly come up with something just for the sake of making music. I don't think that's the way any kind of creativity. You wouldn't go and write a book just because you thought, I'm going to write some words down, see what happens. It has to be an idea. I think the jumping off point is, it takes a minute to get to. I think it's a very rare instance where I probably hit it a lot more when I was starting out through the accidents or the happy accidents that happened, because I didn't know what I was doing. The more you know, the harder it gets, I think, because you analyse everything in a different way and you listen to everything in a different way. And I think that's why I love working with live musicians so much, is because it's just totally unpredictable. You know, you have no idea how something's going to turn, and you're sitting and someone's playing a guitar or playing back a riff or making the sound of the guitar sound good, or suddenly you're just like, oh, that's it. You know, that's a moment. And those moments are quite hard to come by, but when they happen, they can be magical. I think any form of live instrumentation, whether it's you just playing a clap or a hi-hat or anything that you've got control of, or a human being has control of, is going to lead you to something that you wouldn't do if a computer was processing it, without a doubt. I think the track or the piece of music I wish I produced is so many, and it depends on the day. Or what, yesterday I was with a friend who was playing Van Morrison's Astral Weeks, and that's one of my all-time favourite albums, and I listened to that as a kid, and I grew up with it, and now I listen to it very differently to as I listened to it then, and I think sonically it sounds incredible. But then I listen to Prince records, and I think, I wish I could make a song that sounds like that. But that's all part of being inspired. That's all part of not wanting to make something sound like somebody else, but to use all those influences that you absorb as a person to, what's part of your makeup or part of your individuality. I could listen to the Rolling Stones, I could listen to Prince, I could listen to Van Morrison, I could listen to Kanye West, I could, and I could be inspired by an individual or a tiny little thing or the whole thing. It's all. But to me, wanting to make a song that sounds like, or wish I'd made, I don't know, that's kind of a weird concept, I guess. My position is that I'd never want to make somebody else's song. Yeah, I think I wish I'd written songs more than actually made the song. I think there are lyrics and things that I hear. Yeah. Like Bonnie Tyler's "Total Eclipse of the Heart." I mean, what an amazing lyric. Yeah, that's incredible. I wish I'd written that. Brilliant. Yeah. The best music advice, the best production advice, yeah. If it sounds wrong, go with it. And I live with that, I will always. I'm brilliant working with Pete Hoffman in the studio and using my loco and places like that. And I've seen him do things, he's just like, wow, if they really knew what you did. Adding reverb on reverb on reverb and things like that. It's like, well, yeah. What you know. That's an interesting concept now that I think is very different to when I first started out. I think now DJs make music in order to have a career. I thought when I started out I wanted to make music because I wanted to make music. I wanted to be a DJ because I wanted to play other people's records. And I think now, by a forced economy or the nature of music or the nature of its fan base and all of those things, is that that it's now about profile, and it's a really sad state of affairs. Whether it's just that music has become a secondary thing, and I think that's just general. You know, I think music has become secondary to people. Full stop. I think music is, you buy into a brand, or you buy into a concept of what the brand is about, or you buy into, you know, people don't care what the song sounds like. Oh, you know, she wore a great dress, that's brilliant. You know, and I think that the rise of, you know, EDM or any of those things, I don't even think it's about music. I don't know if people really, it's almost like, it's like that, what's that film, that Disney film, Wall-E, that where people have their whole nurtured and the way their makeup, their conditioning, all those things is just changing to a point where the way we perceive music, or way we grew up listening to music, or way we were taught how to be excited about things, or you know, buying a record, running to the shop, seeing what came out, listening to the charts, all those things, I think has become a thing that doesn't function along in the way that it used to, in the same way of watching a film. I mean, I try and educate my kids in the way that I grew up to get excited about music, because you should be excited, because it's art in the same way as you look at a painting or a film or something you've never seen before. But the problem with music, and the way that, you know, Bill Drummond even says, you know, he wrote a book about it, is that it's almost everything has been done, and what we're seeing is a regurgitated version of something that everybody's already heard. But then you could say that, going back, I think the internet has kind of destroyed a lot of things. I think it's, you know, one of the greatest things to ever happen to mankind, at the same time one of the worst things that could possibly have ever happened. Yeah. I hate the internet, but I love it. Modern production methods have made, with computers, full stop, have made, I don't know if they made things too easy. I think that they've made it easy, and I think it made it harder to have individuality. I think that's the key. I think that they it's so easy to pull up a piece of software, or download it for free, or do whatever you need to do and make a piece of music. But actually making a piece of music that sounds like you, or sounds like something that doesn't sound like anything else, is the hardest thing. Anyway, whatever your tools are, whatever, if you're a painter, or if you're a writer, or any of those things, anyone can put words together, anyone can, you know, draw a face, but making that face look like something that you've done is a different thing. So the fact that we've got easier or better ways, or more accessible ways of doing it, is neither here nor there, I think. I think having unlimited tools to be creative with has made it harder. Definitely. It's made it easier. The perception of what people think they're doing, or how they do it, is easier in their own minds, but the acceptability of it, or the making something that's disingenuous or original is it's becoming, there are more zeros and ones. I think that's the problem. The best BPM. It's funny, I think, with dance music, it's such a trend-driven thing, BPMs. You know, it'd be cool, 118, that's a great tempo. Everyone's making 118 at the minute. 122, don't go over 122, that's what, you know, they're playing at Panorama Bar. No one plays over 122. And then I was in the studio with all that in mind last week, and I actually went, I'll make a record at 130 BPM again. That would be just, wow, you know. And that's just mad, like, let's throw caution to the wind. and it's amazing what it does to you creatively, because you suddenly, like, you're rebuking the system. You're just going, as the punk rock in me, who was just like, yeah, I'm going to make a 130 BPM house record. See how I don't care anymore. I'm mad. So I don't know. Is it just interesting with dance music, with actually making music that's not dance music, proper music, that those doesn't become a consideration.
Yeah.
It's it's what the song feels like. Do I sing it like this? Do I sing it like this? Do I sing it like that? Do I to play the guitar this fast? Or I sing really good, really fast. I'll play it really slow. Or where's the groove? That switching tempos thing is such a great thing to do, because you go, I play this half the speed. Sounds brilliant. It opens all that creativity up drastically. Dance music is a really tricky thing when it comes to tempos, because you're categorising yourself in a genre by the tempo that you make the song at.
Yeah.
So I don't think you should let those things become a consideration. Is my long answer.